Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. I am Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio nolo, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes, no United States Corporation Company citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, nor assigns has personal jurisdiction over me, nor over any of the sovereign Moors. Islam. Excuse me. Whew. So, first let me talk about the cosmos, because the cosmos has really been announcing where we are as a nation and as the government on the land. We can look up in the cosmos and we can see how we're doing. We can see, you know, if things are happening and the cosmos is showing us our signs, then we know we're doing all the right things. We started out this year with a double conjunction in, well, first was March of last year. We started out the year with 2 full moons back to back, at the end of April and the middle of March. And throughout the year, because our new year starts March 21st, the cosmos has been just singing and singing and singing and singing. In December, there was a double conjunction. And then earlier this month, there was a triple conjunction on the 9th and the 10th. And so, you know, I thought that was a big deal. It was huge, and the cosmos is not anywhere near done. So in March of this year, now we have some other cosmological events that are going to be happening between now and March, but March is going to be very special again this year, just like it was last year. The cosmos has several special surprises for us. As we know, March 21st is our new year, and on March 20th, the sun will do what it does and cross the celestial equator, forming a perfect X and marking the occasion that day and night will be equal all over our earth. So it's going to align all over the land and say everything starts equally on March 21st. This indicator earth-wide and oneness of energy, consciousness, and thought is another way that the cosmos is announcing that, yes, we're moving in the right direction. Another major celestial event this year, and it's happening right at our new year, is that those of us in the northern hemisphere will witness the zodiacal light, which is where all the natural materials, such as rocks and very small rock particles in the ecliptic plane, will reflect the light of the sun into the night sky. And on moonless nights in March, we will be able to see a pyramid-shaped, diffused glow of light emanating from the western horizon. So it's going to be coming from over here. As darkness falls each evening, we'll be able to see a pyramid-shaped celestial light. They call it the zodiacal light, and that has not happened in thousands of years. So this year in March it's going to happen, and we're looking forward to that because we know the pyramid is you know, another announcement that we govern, just like it was on the back of the fraudulent Federal Reserve debt note. They still had to state that we're the government. So they did it in the most incompetent way they know how and separated the I from the seal. Yes, it is the Great Seal. So the Great Seal will actually be showing in the sky this year in March. That's exciting. And then another celestial event happens between the 10th and the 11th at March, our crescent moon in March will pass very closely by Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all at the same time in the eastern AM sky. That's exciting. We have much to be grateful for and much to celebrate. We know that celestial events speak to us and affirm us and broadcast to the whole earth our grand rising, and for this we're grateful. So I wanted to point those things out. Islam Justice Nael, his solar return is March 4th. That's beautiful because there's going to be some beautiful celestial events happening at that time. So on another note, we know that, and this is just a question to think about, just to think about. It's going to seem like a random question, but it's just something to think about as we continue to move forward. We know that we don't take those fraudulent vaccines that they're putting out, we know that's not for us. And this is not a reflection on anyone who may have had a vaccine who is a Moorish American national, because some took it in their sleep, et cetera, et cetera. But we know, we don't know, well, what I do know about us is that things like that do not affect us the same way that it would a foreign hybrid. However, just as a question to think about, because I thought about this random question today, knowing what's in a vaccine, and we hear things that there are nanobots in it, et cetera, et cetera. Would we engage in intimacy with someone that we knew had nanobots in their body circulating? Would we engage in that? Just something to think about. I just thought I would put that out there because, we have to think about all that we do, So, yeah, exactly, in the chat. I see. Not if we knew about it, we wouldn't. So that's something to think about over the next few days, weeks, etc. As we move. Now, on a different note altogether, just as a topic of our conversation today, I wanted to show a brief clip of a video that I saw on YouTube. It is a video of some foreign hybrids attempting to hypothecate our sovereign national status. And in many cases, I hesitate to show things like this because some newer Moors or Moors who are not as, who do not know that we need to come out of that corporate status may go to that video and attempt to do some of the things that these corporates are doing. And we know we don't do the things that they do because that they're trying to find ways around their status in order to gain our status that we have, in our bloodline and birthright. But just as a backstory to introduce the video, it's a small clip. We're only going to listen to about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes of this video. But as a backstory to the video, one thing that we did not know about this whole gigantic estate, our whole sovereign estate, is that our estate, on this estate, it has the same rules as a reservation, except the rules are, the laws are elevated for our vast estate. There are some things about this gigantic, vast estate that we did not know previously that we're finding out now that we're in our proper status. I often wondered why it was that the foreign hybrids used to say, and they still do say this, that we will know that the revolution has happened when they come for our guns. I used to wonder why they said that. Now I know why they say it. They say it because they know that once we proclaim our sovereign status, it changes the status of the land altogether. And on our land, foreigners cannot have weapons at all. I mean at all. Another fact about our land is that, and some will want to argue with this, but it doesn't matter about arguing with it, it's a fact. Foreigners, hybrids, cannot do commerce on our land. Only we can do that. If they do commerce on our land, that is declaring war when we've declared peace. And they can be shot and killed for that. And, you know, it's in the law. And that's something that, you know, I'm learning some things about the law now that our ancestors did not play. I knew they didn't, but I'm seeing it and also hearing it from the hybrids themselves, the ones that were attempting to hypothecate who we are. So the video, this little clip that I'm going to play, hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to share it on my desktop here. In this video, the Albion, there's an Albion who is narrating this video. And he's not really narrating it. He's quote unquote teaching and educating other foreigners on how to state that they are American nationals and that they have returned to the reservation, quote unquote. The reservation is not what we thought it was. It's not what they told us it was. The word reservation means to serve again something that was previously served. The foreign hybrids are servants. So when we say reserve, that means that we're probably trying to operate in their what we think is their venue. And we're reserving some rights, which is why we, you know, it is best that we exercise the rights as opposed to just reserving them. We go ahead and exercise all rights at all times, no postmark. That's going to take care of now for then. So I'll go ahead and play this video, just a small clip from it, and then when you have time, you can go back and watch the whole thing. But you have to watch it with a competent eye because, again, they're saying to do processes that we don't have to do. But it's because they're trying to make their way around their citizen status and make themselves, you know, attempt to make themselves us. So this is him. The Albion in the video, his name is Patrick Divyne. And some of you know about his videos and some of the things that he has said and done in these videos. And in this video, he is telling them what they can and cannot do on a quote-unquote reservation. Okay? But they're trying to come back to a reservation, supposedly, trying to come back onto a reservation. and claim our status on that reservation. So let me go to that video here. Let me go ahead and put
inherent, reserved,
here it is.
Asset. We have to come in and we have to express that we are a non-commercial compact and that you have not left the American Empire Reservation. Therefore, they cannot come on to the reservation. Like I told one of the guys, okay, that basically he used to play cowboys and Indians. I said, where can a cowboy not go unless he comes in peace? An Indian reservation. Okay? He has to come in peace. He goes on to that Indian reservation, shooting his gun off and everything, and basically he's going to be taken out. And who's going to take him out? Indian. Maybe, but more than likely, the U.S. Marshals. Oh, yes. They are the protectors. They are the police force for the reservations, both the national reservation and the infringement of any other reservation within the nation. I thought they had their own police force. They do in most cases now, okay? But they will basically work with the U.S. Marshals in the process. And see, you're dealing with a citizen from one reservation farming a citizen of another reservation. So therefore, you have to go to the Article 3 court. Why haven't we got to any Article 3 court? Because we've left the reservation. The Article 3 courts cannot protect us if we're off the reservation. It's all about being on the national reservation, the American National Reservation. Then you have your full reserve rights and powers.
So we're not actually getting out of the system, we're perfecting our status, basically.
We're getting out of the commercial system.
Okay,
You go back onto the reservation. You cannot operate in commercial commerce. Period. You operate in commercial commerce and you are at war with the reservation. You have to surrender all commercial instruments, driver's license, social security card, bank accounts, all title to certificate. When you're on the reservation, you don't need those. You operate with lawful ownership and lawful currency of exchange. We're under the protection of the National Reserve Postmaster, the Postmaster General.
Okay. Let me stop it right there. This is why all Moors are, this is another reason why all Moors are the Postmaster General. All of us are. The Postmaster General is over everything. all court, all everything, all commerce, all policy enforcement, or police rather. For us, it's police. It's, you know, all Moors are that. And then our sovereign status is above all else. Don't let nobody fool you. It's yes, the postmaster is over shipping and banking to Aliyah. That's correct. Everything. And that's why we have stated on the record that the postmasters that all Moors are postmasters general. And we've been encouraging the Moors along the way to put those documents on the public record, put a sovereign affidavit on the public record on Moorish government letterhead that says that you are the postmaster general on your own land, in red in all lowercase letters. And guess what? They can't be shooting the postmaster general on the postmaster's land. They can't be warring against you, and they can't do commerce. That means no fake court. So everything that we have been saying has been for the protection of the Moors. You can protect yourself by putting the proper documentation on the public record with all sincerity, with peaceful energy, and just like he was saying, they have to come in peace, or else they will lose their lives for not coming in peace. You can't war when we have said we declare peace. That's why we're saying to do the thing, you know, suggesting that all, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. So we just make a suggestion. Put those documents on the public record. You're the Postmaster General. He said that all of that other stuff has to be surrendered. That means we can't have them either. And when they talk about bank accounts being surrendered, we've done that when we say we've terminated all corporate contracts. And now bank accounts are are sovereign resources. And the Moors can do commerce on their own land, but nobody else can. Foreign hybrids can't. And then other nations, other indigenous nations can, at our permission. So we'll be doing commerce with other nations, but foreign hybrids, no. This is our land and all commerce. That's why we say we're the heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. They know, too, that they're not supposed to be doing any of that and running around here talking about somebody has to have a driver's license, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a driver's license, and again, Moors demonstrate at the level of your overstanding. If you don't overstand this, then you do what you do, because these are suggestions, strongly suggested, that we come out of her, that false mother. So that's what the transition is about. We're transitioning out of those fraudulent documents. And the transition for some will be faster than others, and for some it'll be slower than others. But you have to understand it in order to demonstrate it. The title of that video is An Individual American Empire Reservationist. That's the title, An Individual American Empire Reservationist. And, you know, I'm not recommending that video. If Moors want to go watch it, they can. But I wanted to just make a point of, because we don't recommend anything that's not done by the Moors. But the Albions know, too, that they're not supposed to have guns and weapons on our land. They know that. And when you talk about the Second Amendment is for a well-organized militia, which is the Moors. That's not first citizens. It's not even for individual Moors. Individual Moors need to be a well-organized militia. That's where weapons are concerned. How long will we need weapons? Not long. We really don't need them now. That's why we don't have them. I don't have them. When I go out to do postmaster duties, for example, yesterday I went out, I put on my military uniform. It's a peacekeeping uniform. And whenever I have court actions, like I have a court action today in an hour and a half, and then another one tomorrow, whenever I go out to deliver the parcels that state that someone here in this territory has a court action and they're due in Moorish American Consular Court, I go out and deliver it as the Postmaster General for the territory. So I put on my peacekeeping uniform and I go out and deliver the document. It's time for us to do that. And, you know, just like when we delivered the treaty in red in all lowercase letters to the fraudulent United States Corporation Company at Olympia, Washington territory, telling them that the treaty doesn't have, that the treaty is not about them, it's about the sovereign heirs and the nations that are in their rightful status. So the foreign hybrids know that we're the Postmasters General, and that if anyone is to do anything, they have to go through us. They have to. And that's another reason why we did what we did with regard to the post office. The last two meetings that we had, really we talked about it many times in the past, about the post office and we had an election where all of the Moors, you know, decided that the post office was the first place that we wanted to place a sovereign instrument on the public record to count for the resources thereof. And that's why the post office was chosen first, because that's where Postmasters General operate from. And we're competent. We know that. And again, there's protection for the postmasters, the sovereign American postmasters, which is all Moors. We are the protection for everything else on our land. So that's why we're going out now and doing what we're doing. And it's a suggestion. We encourage all Moors. Get your military uniforms. Ensure that they say peacekeeper on them in red in all lowercase letters. Make sure that they say peacekeeper in red in all lowercase letters. And I put it on the front left side, and then the flag is above it. Our flag, our sovereign flag, is above it. With the, it's red with the green 5-pointed star, so that it's clear who's who and what's what on the land. There's protection in that, because we're going to continue doing our demonstrations. We might as well do them in our proper status and protect it in a protected status. You know, Moors have been, from day one, been saying, I want to get on a do not detain list. I want to get on a do not detain list. You put yourself on a do not. No one else can even put you on a do not detain list. No one else can even do that. You can do it. Moors put themselves on a do not detain list by the demonstrations. Period. Are there any questions or comments about the postmaster, you know, our responsibilities thereof? Whenever I go out to do anything, I'm in some, yes, in the chat, just be yourself, yes. Whenever I go out to do anything that has to do with court actions or notifications of any kind, I'm in my military uniform, from head to toe with my fez. I'm sorry, with my turban, my white turban on. You know, that's how we do. And I'm finding that whenever people see the peacekeeping piece, when they see those the peacekeeper, where it says peacekeeper on, just one moment, let me get my note. Here it is. Okay, whenever they see the peacekeeper on there, it helps them to be at peace too, so that we can move peacefully about and do whatever it is we need to do. You know, so, you know, that's an encouragement. I'm you know, suggesting that more put on your military uniforms and make sure it says peacekeeper in red and all lowercase letters, with our flag showing, and I put our flag over my heart so that we can move and not be encumbered. Okay, and then notify in the territories. Notify all of the fraudulent corporate, etc. Notify them that you're going to be doing things. Fortunately for us, this platform is a public platform here that we're on, and we make our notifications here as well as notifying them in writing of what it is we're doing. And that way, there's no confusion when we're going through the territories with military uniforms on. And it's awesome that we don't really see other military people in this territory. We're the only ones. So we're not, there's no war going on. We're peacekeepers. That's why we say that. Empress Aliyah, what are you saying in the chat? With regard to that, you finally got it. Notice, lien, claim. Is that the process you mean?
Yeah, basically that's what I feel we need to do in order to be in public. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Notice, liens, and claims. You know what I mean? That's keeps us safe.
Yes, it does. It does. When you're operating you know, we're doing government business. That keeps us safe. Then acts of state kicks in, where they're not to impede any other nation who's operating in their free sovereign status. And then that's when other things like consular affairs kicks in, you know, and things like that. And then doing court action. Our court actions is just another way to say we know we have the sovereign jurisdiction. In the video, he mentioned Article 3 courts, and he's essentially saying that on the reservation, quote unquote, there's Article 3 courts where everyone has protection under the Article 3 courts. But there's no Article 3 courts outside of the reservation, meaning if the Moors don't know that they are the Article 3 court, they meaning we, if we don't know that we're the only Article 3 court, then there is no other Article 3 court, and everybody else is just going to be pretending to be and acting like an Article 3 court, but they're not going to really be an Article 3 court. So we'll be thinking that we have to go to the Supreme Court corporation, thinking we're going to get justice when we're not going to get justice, because they're looking at us like you all are the justice. I don't even know why you're here. You know, and Empress, that is the pattern of events there. Notify, And I don't even wait for anything to happen. I lien just because it's the corporations and make sure that the corporation is moved out of the way. I lien them from the very beginning. If I think I'm going to have any interaction with them, I lien them. If I see a document float by with something corporate, I may just lien and do a court action just because I saw something fly by that was corporate. And that's going to be proactively doing things so that by the time we get to the place where we are now, everybody's out of the way. Now, let me tell you where we're going from here. As a nation and as the government on the land, we're starting to formulate how we're going to repossess the resources. So we have to discuss the best way to do that. We have to discuss the best way to do that. I have no questions or doubts about how to do it. But the things that we do, we all have to talk about them because we're all learning in our territories how to repossess everything. We actually have to physically repossess everything and then be using it. So we're preparing now to do that where the post office is concerned. And lately we've been putting some emphasis on several particular documents. One of those documents being this United States Army and Navy Manual of Military, Government, and Civil Affairs, published the 22nd of December, 1943. That document right there. Let me make sure that, there it is right there. Okay. Because when you look through the document, you will see, it will tell you step by step what they did to occupy our land and what we are doing now to clear the occupation and begin using the resources that we have. Yes. And the law of peace. That law of peace document, I didn't think they knew anything about a law of peace, but they have it in their archives as well. They already know that they have to come in peace or else they risk the very breath that they take. And so we have this, taken care of. We just have to keep moving peacefully. That's why peace was so important. Peace is so important because it's protection for us. Those who war, you get war back. You do reap what you sow. If you sow war, you're going to get war back, and that's something you just do not want to do. You don't want to do it because it's just that's not a good thing. It's just not. You want to be at peace with everyone at all times because then they cannot. Peace is armor. It's armor. And it's also going to make it easier for us for the transition to take place. The transition looks like this. So let's just say there are 3 foreigners that are pretending to govern the post office in your territory. What this looks like, what the transition looks like is this. Or let's just say there's 5 of them. Well, the Moors are the postmaster. So what happens with the postmaster? The postmaster sends notification that she is coming to begin with the transition. So she sends affidavits. She's done her lien. She's done her court action on the postmaster and those pretending to do all of that. And now she's coming to do her job. So she sends word. Just one moment. Let's see. Just a moment. Let me make sure. Okay. So the postmaster. This is where we're going from here. This is what it looks like. The exchange and the transition is going to look like. Let's just say you have 5 people working at a post office in the territory. Well, we have to 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 or however we do it. We, Moors, have to replace those people with Moors. That's going to be a peaceful transition. First, the postmaster will go in. Okay, the postmaster will notify at least 3 times that on a certain day, on or after a certain day, they are going to come to the post office and do whatever it is they need to do in terms of they're going to just take an inventory of what's there. And the subject should have inventory documents available so that you can see. If they don't have them available, we're going to go in and find them. And we know where inventory documents are. They're most likely going to be on a computer somewhere. And that's if we're not shown that before we even get there, because there are websites that will tell us what the inventory is in the post office. This is how we're seeing this whole transition take place. And again, some of this will change as we move forward, but this is how it's going to happen. And this is actually what we practiced for when I was in the military. When I was in the Air Force many moons ago, they had us going to the different places on the base where the civilian, quote unquote, the civilians worked. And in our military uniforms, we would go to those places and then we would start with inventory. And wherever they were in their work, we would just join in and see where they were. And then from there, take the lead on, okay, where do we go next so that this transition can be smooth. And if they were about to, for example, usually they do inventory either at the beginning of the month or the end of the month. So if we come in and at the middle of the month, we can watch them prepare for inventory. And then we shadow them. And that whole shadow government piece just, it's not a boogeyman situation. We've been shadowing the whole time. That's why we had jobs. We've been shadowing the whole time. We've been the government the whole time. That's why they needed our autograph. So now we're going to do that in real time. So we go and shadow them and see what they're doing and see where they are in the processes and see how the processes go. And then we're going in to secure the things that are most important, that are priority. For us, the things that are priority is yes, in the chat. Thank you, Justice. I almost put the Postmaster General job description in the chat. Beautiful. Those are things we have to look at. We shadow them. And then we look for ways to start switching things out where we bring more Moors in and the Moors will shadow. the civilian, quote unquote. And as the Moors shadow the civilians, again, we're not contracting with them. We're coming in with a separate altogether. We're coming outside of the corporate system. So we're not contracting with them. We're just shadowing them in our sovereign status and sovereign capacity. They're not our boss. In fact, we're the Postmaster General. And then we gradually replace. Let's say you have 5 of them, the postmaster and 1 other more will come in and start doing the shadowing and looking through the records and doing all that needs to be done and looking at the inventory, seeing what's there, seeing what resources we have available to us. And we do that with the least amount of disruption of responsibilities as possible. And when I say least amount of disruption, I mean, we're not going in, you know, slamming our fists on desks, etc. We're just going in to look around and start doing the work. And as we're looking around and we're taking over responsibilities from the different perspectives, then more Moors will come in and the civilians will migrate out, okay? Because again, they're not supposed to be doing commerce on our land, and those are commercial. Every job on this land is a commercial job. Yes, including the post office and all of that. The military is commercial. The post office is commercial. Police is commercial. Courts are commercial. All of that stuff is all law is commerce. They're not supposed to be doing any of it. That's why we said they're fired, but the estate will not be left desolate. So this is going to be a gradual transition that we're moving into right now. We Moors must be in military uniform when this transition takes place. We must be. We have to be. We must fly our flag with that uniform. That's a must. And we also must be peaceful in all that we do. And go in with the energy that says, we know that we have to take over this responsibility, and that's what we're here to do, is relieve you of your duty. That means that there's not going to be a single Moorish American who does not have a job on the land. That's number 1. And number 2, we'll all be able to live and move and have our being freely on our land without fear or worry for things like lack and policy enforcers and shootings and etc. So that's something that must happen. It must happen because we first have to govern these things. And then over time, this is what's going to happen. Over time, once the transition is complete, then technology is going to come in. Our ancient technology is going to come in and uplift us position-wise so that it's not a day-to-day humdrum thing. But our creativity is going to make it so that we don't really kind of like have a job per se. Our job is going to be creating our way out of those daily responsibilities. But we first have to know how to do them in order for that to be the case. The good thing about all of this is that most of us have done this already. Most have had administrative, quote unquote, administrative duties previously. So it's not going to take us long to allow our creativeness and our creativity and the goal of process improvement to connect. When our creativity meets with process improvement, it's going to make everything automate. It's going to automate everything. And when everything is automated, then we get to create and continue to create and continue to create. But the transition has to happen first. It's going to happen very quickly. It's already happening. We have already proven that we know court action and we know how to implement them. We've already proven that we know how to do liens competently. We've already proven that we know how to do affidavits, etc. And so from this point, it's just a matter of moving forward in that. Taking back, repossessing all that belongs to the heirs, and then going from there, period. And making it so that, you know, we have to put all of them out of a job. And believe me, they don't mind being put out of a job because we still got to take care of them. That's why they keep talking about universal basic income. So there's not going to be a bunch of hungry, you know, foreigners on our land. We've never done that. Never been the case. Never been the case. It's always been where we take care of everyone who, you know, who has assisted in our standing as government. So that's what that's going to look like. You know, we'll go in 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, depending on how many are in the territory, because we have to take complete control of everything, specifically the money system. And it's not a matter of taking control of it, because we already took control of it when we declared the gold standard, because that's the only lawful money. And then when we began circulating gold-backed sovereign instruments, which is liens and court actions, those are, and any affidavits that the Moors have circulated. And since we've done that, the amount of lawful money that has circulated far outreaches and outweighs, you know, the amount of fiat that's ever been circulated. The Moors have circulated in the last 2.5 to 3 years. We've circulated more gold-backed instruments than all of the fiat put together every year since 1789, which is when they started counting that stuff. I mean, some Moors have done, you know, one affidavit, one lien that was worth all the GDP in the world, the gross domestic product of all nations at all times, you know. So all we have to do from this point is prepare to operate in our sovereign status on a local, quote unquote, local level. So going out into the territories and doing things, so that all of those affidavits, there's a sovereign face to put with them. You know, are there any questions or comments about that? Okay. Again, and we will conclude here if there are no questions, but ensure, because we do have a court action in 1 hour, but ensure that if you have not gotten it, let me see if I can find it in my document. I want to put it up on the screen. See if I can put it up there. If I can get it to show. If you have an opportunity to get this document, do what you can to get it, please. And actually, you can actually Google it. Military, Government, and Civil Affairs, publication date 22nd of December 1943. When you look through it, you'll see that it tells you, everything that we need to do from this point. Are there any testaments that anyone wants to give about anything going on in the territories? Islam. Okay, we will end here for now, and then we'll pick back up tomorrow at 7. We have some interesting information, and let's see, what is it? Islam. Justice Nael, is that something you wanted to do now? Let me see. Just one moment. Okay. Justice Nael, do you want her to say something now or later? Okay. If you're talking, we can't hear you. I think you may be muted. Okay. We will end here for now, and we will convene again tomorrow at 7 p.m., which is Thursday. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, as well as on Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Eastern time. Okay. So having said that, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish American heirs, Islam.
Islam, grand rising.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Islam. Islam.